Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. So today I'm going to do a modification to my 2013 Mini Cooper S UK spec, and I thought I'd do a video to hopefully help some people out who might want to do it themselves. So I've had this car for a number of years and I love the thing. It's a great little car, but the one thing that I've never really been truly happy with is the infotainment. So it's got the upgraded package on it from back in 2013 when it was built. It's the CD player, it's got the obviously the display there, it's kind of got the BMW iDrive, it's got navigation, it's got digital radio and built-in Bluetooth streaming, and it's got an aux port, and indeed it's got an armrest connection that I've never used. But this display is starting to feel a little bit dated. And the sat-nav, you know, the maps, I'm starting to use the car for longer journeys now, and the maps really, you know, I've had a couple of bad experiences recently where the maps have taken me, you know, on a long journey, it's taken me on a bad route, and the Google Maps is a much better solution. So I've kind of abandoned the built-in maps, and I'm now using a phone with a Google Maps on it, with I've got a slot mount for the CD player there, which is a cradle for the phone. Now I've recently got another vehicle, a camper van, and that came with Apple CarPlay built into it, and it surprised me how good Apple CarPlay is. So I decided I wanted to see if I could get it into this car, and I've looked online, and there's various solutions. Some solutions you replace this entire thing, the whole screen, you know, the head unit, the lot. What I really want is a factory look, so I want it to look exactly the same as it does there, but ideally with the CarPlay installed. Now, the way to do that is you get effectively like it's effectively like a brain, I suppose. It's a little box, and it comes with a wiring harness, and I guess it goes in between the head unit and the display, so it gets in between. There's various options available at various budgets. I've done a bit of research, and I've gone for a slightly more expensive one from Integrated Automotive, and I will put links in the comments of the model that I bought. As I say, I did some research, and I've gone for their model because the hardware is better, and you're going to get better performance, faster boot times, and things like that. So, but what I've recently discovered, so I've taken delivery of the kit, and I'll get to that shortly. But when I was researching it and looking into buying it, I was under the impression that all I needed to remove from the vehicle is the display and the head unit, and obviously this like stack, you know, this central stack here. It turns out what I'm actually going to need to do is to get to the iDrive controller and indeed the microphone there. So that means there's going to be a bit more work involved than I thought, but nonetheless, I've looked at videos of how to remove the head unit, the centre console, and indeed the roof console, and they all look, you know, for a reasonably competent person, they look like they're achievable. So in this video, I'm not going to show you removing all this trim, but what I am going to do is put links to the videos that show you how to do it, because there's no point in reinventing the wheel. But then when we get to the wiring and stuff, I'll show you that. Right, let's get started. Okay, so here's the device that I'm going to be fitting to the car. Comes in a well packaged in the post. It's in a nice box. So it is a Integrated Automotive IMI 1000, and it's known as a CIC version of this model. So the IMI 1000 comes in different versions. The CIC in this case refers to the fact that the display and the system in the Mini is a late one, like a late 2013. Let's have a look at it. Come on. Right, so there's the lid off. Right, so here's the device itself. Very nice build quality. It's quite heavy. Got some, as I say, it's nice all metal. Got some nice cooling vents. You've got some wiring ports. You've got under those dust caps fitments for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth antennas, which are obviously provided, and there's some jumpers, so you can adjust those switch positions for different applications. Now these should be set for me, but it does recommend that you check those before you start, which I will be doing. On the back we've got a couple of QR codes. They take you out to the Integrated Automotive's website for installation and setup guides. Now the installation guide is based on a BMW E90, but the basic principle's the same. You know, it has the iDrive and the microphone. Now they do provide you with a microphone as well, so if your vehicle doesn't have its own microphone, they provide one. So let's just move this to one side, and obviously we've got a whole lot of wires. Looks a bit scary, but I had a quick read and a quick look last night, and slightly concerned some of the wires are not labelled. There is labels on them, but they don't all seem to be labelled, so I may have to do a little bit of guesswork. There's also a little bit of redundancy in there. Like for me, the microphone's redundant because I'm going to use the factory one, and there is also there's two versions of iDrive controllers. I think there's like 4-pin and 8-pin or something like that, and you get both harnesses, so one harness will be redundant. But that's the general idea. There's a whole load of wires there. They seem nice quality, the wiring generally. It's got, some of them have that like felt stuff on, a little bit like factory wiring in cars. The plugs look good. Yeah, it all looks pretty good. So I'm going to make a start. The first thing I'll be doing is disconnecting the negative on the vehicle battery for safety. So yeah, let's make a start. So I've just removed my rubber mats out of my cup holders, and I'd actually bought one and put it in the back. Quite tricky to get out, and the way I did it in the end, I've got a bit of strong tape. That tape is for, what's that for? Ah, that's brick masking tape. So if you want to do, you know, mask off some brickwork, so it's very sticky. So I stuck a bit to it and then pulled it as I got a trim tool and hooked behind it, and then it comes out easy. So hopefully that'll help. Okay, so slight adjustment. The car that I have has an armrest, and the video for removing the console didn't have, the vehicle on that video didn't have an armrest. So I undid the screws in the 3 cup holders, started to lift the console, and it was being restricted here. So what I did, apologies because I didn't video it at the time, but there's 2 pieces of trim. They make 2 halves, and they kind of go around here. So there's simply there's a T20 on each side. So you take that out, and then you just gently pull these, and they just come apart. They just have clips. Dead simple. And then what you're then left with is the cup holder is on. So you just wiggle the cup holder, and this is like a spring, and it's sprung over that. So you just pull, try and do it with one hand, but you just sort of apply a bit of pressure as you withdraw it, and that comes off. And once that's off, so you don't need to remove the armrest. The armrest's still in place. You know, don't be taking these out and thinking you need to take this off. Just leave that. But now, as you can see, the console's totally loose. And what I did to reduce the risk of scratching it, once it was loose, I was able to get my hand in from underneath. Be careful, because you get a little nice injury there off these guys. But you get your hand in and underneath, and this, you like squeeze it together and push up, and once you get it started, then it's easy to just work round. So that, for me now, that's as you can see, that's off, which then means this guy can lift right up. Move your seats forward and back as you're doing it. You find you don't need to take the seats out. You're just moving forward and back. Just take your time. It'll be pretty obvious what's getting in the way of what. But now I've got access to the cabling for the iDrive controller. Okay, just a quick one. So I've got the console down. It was really easy. I did come armed with a trim tool, but actually you don't need it. Just very gently hold it on either side. You know, the headlining flexes a bit, so you can get your fingers in, just nice and gentle. And you just pull it down. Just put even pressure on both sides as you pull it down. There's a microphone there. So I am going to need a pick tool to get that little tab pushed in to withdraw that. Don't just try and pull this because you'll break it. It looks like the whole console's gonna have to come down, and the reason for that is that my new cable is going to come along that head, behind that ear panel along the headlining, and then the wire is going to have to come out of here to meet that cable. So this console needs to come off, and I'll post a video link to an existing video that shows you how to do that, but I think effectively it's 4 screws. Okay, so I got this thing off. It's not a pick tool, so let me put this down. So don't put a pick tool in there. I tried it. It may work, it didn't work for me. What I did, about where my finger is, I got an electrician screwdriver in there and very gently eased it, which meant the little tab that sits in that hole could clear this little bar here. And just be gentle, because it's quite fragile, but yeah, that was how I did it, so no pick tool. Okay, so I'm just about to remove these screws. I've took these little trims off. I don't think you can see, no you can't with the camera, but the angle is that way. So come around the front of the car and just look in the windscreen and you'll see. But one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put a towel over them heater vents there, because as I withdraw that screw, I don't want it to fall in there. Okay, so I've temporarily stopped the job. I've retrieved the 2 screws out the top of the dash, which fasten the screen in place. And I just happened to look at them because they're T20s again. There's a lot of these are T20s. And I noticed the screws have different threads to some of the other T20s. So what I've done, I've got some masking tape and a pen. And it's not that legible, but it basically says dash. So I'm going to go back now, and the screws I've removed so far, which are basically from the centre console, I'm going to mark them up. So we'll have loads of bits of tape with markings on and what's what, because otherwise reassembly might be a problem. Alright, so a bit of an update. We've got this screen out, we've got the radio out, and obviously the centre stack's out. I chose to remove the centre stack. I know in the video where the chap does a similar job, he leaves his centre stack in, but given I've got to get a wire to the iDrive controller, whatever that is, there, it's got to go like under here, so I felt it was better to get that out of the way. So that's done. It's not all good news though, so it's really important, this one. So I kind of misunderstood how these work. What these are on the back of the radio. This is easy, it's a quad lock, straightforward. These though, these little things are a nightmare, and they've caused me a nightmare. So the way they work, you lift that up like that, but then that isn't ready to release, which is what I originally thought. So what you do then, you press it, hopefully you can see, as you press it, it moves that little thing which clears a latch on the radio itself. Now then, what I've unfortunately done is on one of these, I just thought it was tight, and I didn't realise I'd released that like that, but I didn't press it, which is foolish now, but I didn't know how it works. And it's difficult to see how it works when it's fitted to the radio, because it's quite busy in there and you don't have a lot of slack, so you can't like bring the radio far out. So I've snapped, potentially I'm going to need a new radio now, because I've snapped the back of it off, or it might be repairable, but we'll have to see. But cross that bridge when I come to it. But for the minute, the next challenge I've got, so when I was speaking to Integrated Automotive, and the customer support's really good, they answer the questions really quickly, so I can't fault them at all really, very friendly. However, they did say that the IMI 1000 unit can go behind the dash, basically in the void behind the dash. I fail to see how we can do that. I mean, you've got a void here, but I mean, in theory, I suppose you could take this off and then get the thing in there. But the more I think about this, I really want this unit to be available to get, like, for there to be access to it after the install's completed, just in case something goes wrong with it and I need to get it. So I don't want to ever have to do this lot ever again. So I'm gonna have a think, couple of thoughts. I don't know how long the harness is, maybe under the seat. I am thinking about under here somewhere. There seems to be a bit of room there. There seems to be almost no room under the glove box. Sorry, that's not a very good video. No room under the glove box because when I put my hand under there, there's something there which I don't know what it is. It's like a big box. I think it might be a heater, and I don't want to put it in the glove box, and I don't want to put it in the secret glove box because, well, the secret glove box would be a bit tight anyway because there's like the Wi-Fi antennas and it would be quite a snug fit. But as I said, I want it to look factory. I don't really want it visible, so I'm gonna have to have a think, and I'll come back to you. Hi guys, I just wanted to provide an update because I'm conscious I've been working on this thing quite a while now, you know, a few hours, and I haven't done any updates. To be brutally honest, it's been very, very challenging. I am getting there. I do think the job will be a success. So I do believe it's possible, but it's been very challenging. Now, admittedly, I should have kept stopping and recording a little bit, so I apologise for that, but I'm still going to run you through where I'm at so far. So everything's still loose, trim and everything, console's loose, obviously screen's not in yet, head unit, as I said, is potentially damaged, so that's potentially going to have to be looked at separately. So a couple of things then. As I mentioned in the last piece of this video, I was having a lot of trouble working out where to locate the device. And, you know, I went away, so I took a break, cleared my head, came back, went through it very methodically. So firstly, it's not going to work under the seat because the harness isn't long enough. So roll that one out. Under here, so to the left kick panel, just to the right of that speaker, there's a footwell module in there. And you could possibly get it in there very, very tight. And the footwell module, I did notice now then, what do you call those things? It's like a thing that clamps around the electrical cable, and it's designed to prevent interference. A ferrite core, I think is what you call it. I spotted something that looked like that, and it makes me feel that there shouldn't be two effectively computers next to each other so close. So I ruled that one out. The glove box, I don't want to put it in the glove box because I want an OEM look. It's not going to go under the carpet because the carpet, you know, the carpet won't sit right, and I won't be happy with that. There's no room here. Under the glove box, so where my hand is, there's a big object there. I think it's a heater, a part of the heating system. And so it can't go there. As I said, I don't want it in the glove box. I don't want it in this so-called secret compartment because, again, I don't want you to see it, and you know, I don't want somebody putting things in there or whatever and it dislodges some wiring or whatever and causes a problem. And as I think I'm repeating myself, but I also decided during this process that I want to be able to get access to the IMI 1000 unit after it's all put back together, just in case, you know, it needs. So I did ask the company about a firmware update. I said, you know, if it needs a firmware update, how do you proceed? And they provide a USB cable. So I'm not going to use that because I'm going to be all wireless. But you know, if I need to update the system, I want to be able to connect the USB up and perform the update. So not that it would fit in here anyway. Well, do you know what? You could maybe take this thing off. I don't even know how it comes off, to be honest. It seems to disappear behind this, so you'd have to take this off, and that's the dash, so you're potentially taking the whole dash out. I don't think it would go in there really, and obviously if you put it in there, you can't get access to it anymore in the event of it being a problem. You've got to think about maintenance. I don't believe there's a lot of room in here by the time the head unit slides in, and again, to be honest, I don't want it there. So this side is fuse boxes in there, so it ain't going to go in there. So I'm actually going to put it under here. I'll show you it better later. I've practiced moving the steering up and down and forwards and backwards and steering it, and it's clear of all the moving parts, so that's fine. So yeah, so the next problem was getting the wiring through, and ignore this coiled up stuff because this is going to get, this is what is this, aux cable. I'm not going to use that, so I'm going to coil that up and tie wrap it in there. The wires basically go down there. They go down there and they pop up or pop out here somewhere. It's really, really difficult to get them through. It really is. You can probably see my arm. Ignore that big scar, that was from something else, but all that grazing there, you know, I've cut myself to ribbons basically. So it's, you know, and because it's so tight, if you're trying to use work gloves and whatnot, rubber gloves are going to, you know, surgical gloves will get ripped straight away. Rubber gloves, you just haven't got that, you've got to feel for the thing. So it was just a bare hands job. As I say, I've got them in, so you've got a big loom there, factory loom, and it goes like down at a 45-degree angle, so to speak. And yeah, so you're just gonna have to like shine a torch through here, shine a torch at that, and as you wiggle the wires you'll sort of see it, and then you can kind of get your hand in. But it took me a good couple of hours to get that through. So that's that. What else? So the microphone, right? So I've got this down. This is the microphone disconnected, so there's a piggyback sort of like Y-shaped thing. So their cable, let me think about this. Well, it doesn't really matter. One end goes in there and another end goes into the harness, you know, so you've got to be up here. I originally, because all the wires come through here, had the wires coming down here, under the carpet, up there, and it's not long enough, so I've had to pull it all back through. So now, see, I've got my dash cam wire goes up here, but unfortunately I didn't really want two wires in there, but it's a thin wire and there's no, it's only like this thick, and there's no connectors or anything, so it's a small price to pay. So that wire is going to come from the unit, which, and as I say, I'll show you that when I get it in. It's going to go along there, behind that kick panel, up it, sorry, into the rubber of the door, and then behind this here pillar, and then into the headlining, and it's going to somehow come out here and connect to that. So that'll probably be my next job. The iDrive, so I've got that connected up. So the iDrive comes down here. This is it here. Goes, so it's come from here behind this, and I've looked for where possible. I've followed the same path as factory wiring. Always checking for sharp edges. There's sharp edges everywhere here. Don't have it going against a sharp edge, obviously. Down here, so then it goes through here. There's a couple of holes. Down further, and you can see there. Now this is sharp as anything. This is like a steel bracket, so it's going in between there, and I've had this lifted up and I can see underneath, and it's fine. The iDrive, there's just a big square block under there, and there's a plug. The plug, once again, is a nightmare. You need a thin electrician screwdriver, and there's a little so don't try and push the tab down. Try to lift up like the female part that it's trying to come out of. It'll make sense. Very challenging. I've had basically this whole thing like right up in the air, you know, up here. You know, you've got to go so gentle because you can scratch, you know, make sure you don't scratch anything. I don't know how fussy you are. I'm quite fussy about that. So, you know, I've got cloths all over the place. You know, wherever these are going to touch each other when you're working, you put like a cloth under the bottom one so they don't scratch each other. It's just take your time, and before you start each step, just look at, right, what sort of damage could be done here. Can I scratch something? If you're bothered, I know a lot of people aren't. So, yeah, so that's where we're at. iDrive's connected. Wire harness is all routed apart from the microphone, and I'm going to do that next, but I'm going to have a cup of tea. Just a quick one. When you're routing these wires, you'll see several parts of the loom are like this, and the reason is that if you imagine like the microphone, for example, you unplug the microphone from the car, then one end of this goes in the car, one end goes in the microphone. So when you're feeding like wires like this through, what I would recommend is you get one end of it like that, tape that up and put like a cone on the end of the tape. So if you put it through, and you know you put it through a gap in the dashboard, you've got your hand through on the other side and it's not coming through, at some point you may have to pull it back through and have another try. If you don't do that, that'll often snag, and you may find yourself in a position where you can't go forward or backwards. So just a bit of electrical tape or masking tape will do you good for that. So quick update, I've got the wiring routed for the microphone. So as I said before, it's going to use a factory microphone. So it comes up in the behind the rubber on the A-pillar, behind the headlining, and then here it is. So it just goes through the headlining there, pops through there, comes along. And what I've done, so that there is the plug of the IMI 1000 harness into the car's original harness that was formerly plugged into the switch. I've wrapped some foam around it, bit of tape just so it doesn't rattle. So, and then that's where the switch is going to go. So I'm going to put this guy back on. Hi guys, just a quick update for you. So screen's in, head unit's in. By some miracle the partially snapped connector doesn't seem to affect things. I've tested the DAB, I've tested Bluetooth streaming and the car's own built-in factory sat-nav, and I've driven the car over uneven surfaces, bumps and stuff, and it seems to be playing. So happy days. The unit itself is mounted where we are, mounted under there. So yeah, I've had to use a tie wrap because it's not sitting on a flush surface. You know, if it was a flush surface you could use double-sided tape, but in fairness it's solid as a rock, it ain't going to go anywhere, and then obviously it's going to be hidden by a trim. But yeah, so I've given it a bit of a test. I've been out in the car, I've been on I've deliberately driven on some bumpy ground, and this car's lowered, so it's a hard ride anyway. So I wanted to make sure nothing was flickering or, you know, turning on and off or anything when suggesting a fault with the wiring. Seems to be good, so I'm going to start reassembling the car. I'll be back soon. Quick one then, I'm trying to put the bezel back on. We've got these clips here, thin clips, they've got a little hook on. Doesn't seem to want to go in there, but I think it has to go in between effectively the domed area of the dash coming down. It's not very, yeah, there you go. And so in between that and that white nylon echelon. So it doesn't seem to want to know, but what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and like push up against the dash. So here, push up like that as I send it forward. That was indeed the answer. So as you push this forward, apply a bit of upwards pressure on that. Okay, so just a quick one on this. When you're reassembling this, before you fit this to the car with your 3 screws, make sure this is lifted out and fasten this down, then offer this up to the console, first at the front, then the sides, work back, squeeze together, clip it in, and then clip it at the back. If you do it in the reverse order, this front section won't engage into here, and whatever you do, don't force it. If it doesn't go, ease it back and have another try. Alright, so we're all reassembled, and as you can see, Apple CarPlay is running. It's looking pretty good. So the icons are clipped there on the side. Integrated Automotive rather, tell me that this is the nature of the Mini display and there's nothing can be done about that. It's not a deal breaker. I can't see the time, but obviously I've got a watch on, so it's not the end of the world. But overall, looks really good. I've been testing it a little bit, and because it uses the factory screen rather than a glossy touch screen, it's great in the sun. As you can see, it's sunny today and I've got no problem seeing the icons. It's really responsive, really quick, really pleased with the performance of it. Yeah, I mean, the navigation is intuitive with the iDrive. You can see I'm going up and down, left and right. Display is nice. Music works a treat. Obviously, and then the steering wheel controls, that works. So yeah, other than that, there's not a lot to say really. It's been a lot of work and it's been a bit of a journey. Obviously I had a slight concern with my stereo, but I think the little bit that did snap on one of the terminals mustn't play a role. I think the metal that sort of broke, or the brass, must have just been to hold the sort of the part of the stereo in place, you know, the part that's the connector on the stereo itself. So I think I got away with that. It doesn't seem to be giving me any problems, but otherwise, apart from that, the job went pretty well. Would I do it again now I know what I know? I probably would, to be honest. It's a massive upgrade. You know, I can still use the original system. You just press the home button for 5 seconds or something. There you go. Got the original display, no problem. And then you can go back again, and you're back there. So I think it's as good as it can ever be on a really old car. It almost looks factory. There's no evidence of any wires or any sort of, you know, it just looks factory, which is exactly what I wanted. So I'll monitor it over the next, you know, few months. I hope I don't have any problems with it. If I do, I'll let you know. If you've got any questions, please ask on the comments. And finally, thanks for watching. I hope it proves useful. Have a great day. All right, just a quick one. So you might be wondering why some of this is stripped down again, given it was all finished. So at the end of the job, I had one T20 screw left. And unfortunately for me, call it OCD, whatever, it just, things like that do my head in. So I couldn't leave it. So I did a bit of investigation, looking back through old photographs, and indeed a video which I'll post, what somebody else did of how to replace these. And I discovered that, so that screw there is for this trim. You can just about see it, that there, yeah, there underneath that, this trim underneath is a screw that holds this on, but you can't see it, but sort of just to the left of this screw, behind this bezel, is another one of these. So this guy has got like 2 screws holding it on. And what I did was I fitted this first, and these were still sort of like slightly dropped down. And at the time I thought I would be clever, and I just left this loose, and I managed to get that screw in there and get this on, but I didn't realise there was another screw here. So to be honest, this thing was solid as a rock anyway, so it's completely unnecessary. But me being me, I don't like bodging things up. I like things right, and you know, if a screw's there, I suppose it's there for a reason. If they're building millions of cars and they could avoid fitting a screw, it would save them a lot of money. So anyway, it's done now. So the golden rule is secure these guys, secure these before you secure this.